Hey folks, this is Matt once again, and this time it's for a film that I've given quite a few chances to. I think the first time I saw this was a long time ago on cable. Then I gave it a second chance when I bought this DVD about a year and a half ago. And then I gave it a chance when I saw it very recently. And I don't like this film. I've never liked this film. I think it's very piss poor in Tom Hanks' filmography, in John Candy's filmography, and the director, Nicholas Meyer's filmography, because Nicholas Meyer directed Star Trek II, Star Trek VI, the TV movie The Day After, and the film co-stars Rita Wilson, who would later become Tom Hanks' wife, Tim Thomerson from Trancers, Doll Man, and would also work with John Candy on Who's Harry Crumb. Also, Geddy Watanabe, who was in 16 Candles and Gun Ho. And the music is by James Horner. The James Horner. And with all those people involved, and again, Nicholas Meyer, by this time he had done Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. This is just a boring, unfunny, unexciting. There's a reason why when people talk about John Candy or Tom Hanks, they don't talk about this movie. Because it's that fucking forgettable. If you like the film, that's fine. But that's not my opinion. I'm sorry. It's really not. I wanted to like it. I remember the first time I saw it, I was really disappointed. It was like, oh, Tom Hanks, John Candy. If you want to watch that, watch this movie. Volunteers. First off, John Candy feels like he's barely in it. And that's because John Candy, 18 minutes in, is when John Candy appears as Tom Tuttle from Tacoma, Washington. 18 minutes in, John Candy appears. From 18 minutes to about the 42-minute mark, he appears sporadically, being very, very over the top, very obnoxious. Either a bad script or he got some bad direction from Nicholas Meyer. Because I can't think of many John Candy films where I found him as obnoxious as he was in this. And then 42 minutes in, he gets caught. Because there's a tiger and he fell into a pit that was supposed to trap the tiger. And he gets caught by the Red Army and brainwashed. And then once in a while he's on this bridge and saying nonsensical, psychotic shit. Let me put it this way. You want to see this kind of character was played better in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yeah, I'll get into that later. But it starts out with JFK footage. And the song Blue Moon, Blue, Blue Moon, Blue, 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 Blue Moon. Because I guess it says that it takes place in 1962. Tom Hanks is a character who's a spoiled rich kid who graduated from Yale, who had a $14,000 debt, but he bet on a game of Celtics versus Lakers, but the Celtics won, and now it's a $28,000 gambling debt. And Tom Hanks, this is easily to me one of his worst performances. He plays a snooty, snobby, jerk-off, smug ass, has this British accent. Oh, hello, love. How's it going? Oh, what are we doing today? I can't mimic it. Just that very... Remember that snooty waiter in Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Or, you see movies, they have these very snooty, almost British snobby guys. That's him. Throughout the entire fucking movie. That's his accent. It's almost like a douchebag version of Liev Schreiber. That accent. Like a British, snooty, douchebag version of Liev Schreiber. I don't know how else to describe it. So, that accent does not work for Tom Hanks. So he's got to get out of there because he owes all this money. You have this interesting directorial touch where you see, when traveling in a long distance, these two lights on this map. And then Tom Hanks' car drives through the actual map. I think that was an interesting directorial touch. But, I mean, I never would have known this directed by Nicholas Meyer. It just doesn't seem like he's suited for the material. Doesn't seem like this is the right movie for Nicholas Meyer, because like Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 6 and The Day After are fairly serious movies, so he doesn't really direct much comedy. I think he helped write on Star Trek 4, but he didn't direct Star Trek 4, did he? Yeah, Star Trek 6 maybe has some little moments of humor, but it's not a comedy. They're more serious movies. Nicholas Meyer does not work on a comedy. That's why he didn't direct many comedies. He's not suited for that. But his buddy, played by Xander Berkeley, who would be in Candyman, and he'd be in a few other films, Universal Soldier: The Return. Tom Hanks takes his bud's place on this plane, and it's for the Peace Corps. Tom Hanks sits down next to Tom Tuttle from Tacoma. And again, about 18 minutes in, this is when John Candy appears. And this is why it reminded me of Planes, Trains, Automobiles, because it's the guy sitting down and then the other guy talking and talking and annoying the guy and won't stop talking. Planes, Trains, Automobiles, John Candy was not obnoxious. He had a heart, he had a soul to him, he was funny. That's because John Hughes, if I just say the name right, that guy knew how to direct comedy. And knew how to maybe tone down, going from, I like Due Date, but Zach Galifianakis is annoying as shit in a movie. I like the film for Robert Downey Jr. So when you're doing, the guy who's annoying and won't shut up, and that's a thin line. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles did that well. This movie doesn't. It's just John Candy is very annoying in the film. And it feels like he's barely in it. And in a way, that's a blessing if this is the kind of character they're forcing him to play. Like, oh, he's really for the Peace Corps. So Tom Hanks moves and sits with Rita Wilson, which, again, later become his wife, and I believe they're still married to this day. I know at one point Rita Wilson had breast cancer, and hopefully she's doing all right. And throughout the whole trip, they talk, and then later on, Tom Hanks is like, hey, can we sleep together? She says no. So, oh, come on, I'll put in the hours. Don't you think I'll put in the hours? Meaning all this talking. Again, I get that at the beginning he's supposed to be a jerk. Just later on, then he'll rise up from being a jerk. But I never buy that rise up. To me, he's a jerk from beginning to end. He's an unlikable character. I don't give a fuck about Tom Hanks' character at all. Tim Thomerson is there when they arrive to help the arrivals, and the whole gist is Tom Hanks, John Candy, and Rita Wilson are supposed to help these locals in Thailand build this bridge. And John Candy's going over the top. You bid bridge, blah, blah, blah. While Tom Hanks is like, hey, you want some cigarettes or you want this? Giddy Watanabe is the local there who knows how to speak English. And I swear Tom Hanks and Giddy Watanabe are more of a pair than Tom Hanks and John Candy. Like, it makes it seem like these two are the buddies of the film. They're not. Really, this should be Giddy Watanabe. It feels like maybe it's not technically, but it feels like Giddy Watanabe has more screen time and has more to do than John Candy. To the point there should be Tom Hanks and Giddy Watanabe. Tom Hanks is showing the locals card tricks. And again, we get to like 40 minutes in, and John Candy, there's this big kitty cat, oh, what a big kitty cat. Tighter, he's caught in this pit. And that's where later on he gets brainwashed. Meanwhile, Tom Hanks is playing cards with Giddy Watanabe, some others, and this guy who works with the black market appears. and brings Tom Hanks' Daddy Watanabe to his place and saying, I want that bridge built to help my opium business. And the guy has this Asian bodyguard named Lucille, which anytime she talks, they can't understand her. And she has these razor sharp lawn nails. And again, she's the bodyguard to this black market guy. Meanwhile, Tim Thomerson gives his statue to Rita Wilson. It's this little statue that has a big dick on it. And that's actually around the time where John Candy gets brainwashed, laughs like a psychotic, then comes back to Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson, giving this very over-the-top, grand performance that is just, tone it down, man. This is not funny. It's not entertaining. Come on. I know John Candy can do better. He did better in the past in films like Splash and Stripes. He will do better in films like The Great Outdoors, Summer Rental, Spaceballs, Planes, Trains, Automobiles, Who's Harry Crumb, and so forth. Only the Lonely. Sadly, I would say this is one of John Candy's weaker performances. Same with Tom Hanks. And I think Nicholas Meyer is partly to blame for that. I don't know, maybe not. I wasn't there. But these two give really poor performances and a really shitty script that's fairly dull. Even though Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson got married later, I don't feel they had chemistry in this movie when they're with each other. I don't buy Tom Hanks. I don't buy why Rita Wilson would like Tom Hanks' character at all, because he's still that snooty, snobby accent to Tom Hanks' character. Never liked the character, never grow to like Tom Hanks' character. One weird scene, this is after they've built the bridge, this little montage, where Tom Hanks tries to get Rita Wilson to stay in this little kind of bar that he made up. How he gets her to stay is by offering her Coke, as in Coca-Cola. You want a Coca-Cola? What kind? I got cherry, I got lemon, I got vanilla, or I got plain. A plain Coca-Cola. And that gets her to stay on this date. And then she drinks it, and she's like, God, this is fantastic. I miss this so much. I'm like, I know on Wikipedia they explain, like, their critics would complain about this scene, and then, like, the writers or someone mentioned, oh, it was, like, they gave, I felt bullshit reasons, because I actually agree with the critics on this. It was such a blatant scene about Coca-Cola. There wasn't even a joke. It's not like, hell, even fucking Return of the Killer Tomatoes made that into a joke with product placement, where, oh, the movie, we can't finish the movie. Well, I know how we can finish the movie. And you have a scene where George Clooney, like, throughout the whole scene, is, like, showing products, and, you know, that's a funnier movie than this. And that's Return of the Killer Tomatoes with George Clooney. I find that to be a funnier, wittier movie than this fucking movie. And that's fucking sad. If people disagree, fine, but I don't see the movie you see. I don't see it. The fucking blatant Coca-Cola scene. I mean, you have Tim Thomerson, who reveals he's part of the CIA, so he's really a bad guy. And he kidnaps Rita Wilson. There's a celebration of the opening of the bridge, and that female Lucille bodyguard tries to kill Tom Hanks, and Daddy Watanabe saves him. One of the few times I smirked at the film was when they can't understand her. So Tom Hanks, Daddy Watanabe actually read the subtitles that pop up. I mean, I've seen that before in movies, but you know, I got a smirk out of that. So they don't go rescue the woman. And of course, John Candy's not part of it. Why? Because they have him on the stupid thing on the script where he's brainwashed and he's just walking back and forth on the bridge. So all the stuff that happens on a good chunk of finale John Candy's not a part of, even though he's on the fucking cover, and he was on the cover of the fucking poster. And Daddy Watanabe's name isn't even on the back of this fucking DVD, but he has more screen time than fucking John Candy. He has more to do with the plot than John Candy, for fuck's sake. If you're wondering why that is in my bed, I keep squirming because it just... Sometimes I get pissed, I just get restless, I just want to fucking punch. But not serious, but, you know. In the past, I have had a habit of punching DVDs, but I don't want to do that with John Candy. Although I do think this is one of his worst movies. That I would put that as one of his worst films. I really would. But yeah, so John Candy's not part of the rescue because the script has him stuck on that fucking bridge. Daddy Watanabe. Okay, this another time I did smirk. I will admit. Daddy Watanabe talks with these big bodyguards. I think one of them is actually Professor Toro Tanaka from the Running, who would be in the Running Man and the Perfect Weapon. Like he asks him, "You got a smoke?" And it looks like they're gonna pull a sword or something, but all three of them reach out and they'll pull cigarettes out. They got the smile on their face. Like the way it's synchronized and the look on these three big guys' faces, like it's like it did make that did make me chuckle. I'll admit that. I'll admit that. It looked like they pulled them out of their fucking armpits. And Tom Hanks finds Rita Wilson, who's still a little bit dazed, and Tom Hanks finds Rita Wilson, who's a bit dazed, and Tom Hanks is fighting Tim Thomerson. Tim Thomerson's like throwing these karate chops at Tom Hanks, but Daddy Watanabe distracts him, and Tom Hanks is able to hit Tim Thomerson in the head. They drop a chandelier on these guys. They escape, and then they talk with each other, and they decide to blow up the bridge. And that's where John Candy walks in with dynamite, being so over the top. People, if you want to ask why do you feel John Candy's performance is bad, this scene is a perfect example as to why. He's just screaming and being over the top and being so obnoxious that it's just sad to see. Screaming like a psychotic. They stop him, slap him. Then he's back to normal. They decide to wire the bridge. It doesn't work. Tom Hanks goes there to fix it. Tim Thomerson's there. Tom Hanks knocks Tim Thomerson off the bridge. Then Tom Hanks jumps off the bridge. They blow up the bridge. Tom Hanks is alive. And apparently everything's okay, even though on this side it was like the black market guy who's ready to kill Tom Hanks' character if they don't have this bridge. The other side is this Red Army who I'm sure they're willing to kill. And probably Tim Thomerson's buddies who are part of the CIA. And it's not like we saw that Tim Thomerson died. If Tom Hanks survived, why wouldn't Tim Thomerson survive? So I'm like, what about all these people and they have guns while you guys have sharp sticks? Aren't these guys going to get pissed and like they're on the bridge and then turn towards our leads and just be like the end of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid? Where Tom Hanks, John Candy, Rita Wilson turn and freeze frame go. No, apparently just because the bridge is blown up, I guess the black market guy, even though they have guns, oh man, they blew up the bridge. They're right over there. I could see them, but oh man, let me walk away. I guess the Red Army was like, we got guns, we can shoot them because what they did. But oh man, and they walked away. And I guess Tim Thomerson's buddies were nowhere to be around, or Tim Thomerson got out of the water and looked over and went, oh man, I could try to kill them, but oh man, they blew up the bridge. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. That's stupid. That doesn't make any damn sense. What the fuck? These people, they're not that far away, and they could eat. One's on one side of the bridge, one's on the other. One of them could go kill them since they have guns, but the interest in that scene, no, they're all right. Tom Hanks made this sort of place for people to gamble. I guess John Candy's going to be there as well, and Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson hooked up, and this is just a really lame, unfunny movie. Yeah, the wrong director. I think Nicholas Meyer did a poor job with the movie. James Horner's score, I don't remember anything about it, to be blunt and honest. Tom Hanks, I think this is one of his worst roles. I have never seen Bonfire of the Vanities. But, in case people ask about bad Tom Hanks roles, but this is easily one of the worst I've seen. The snooty, snotty, British twat that's annoying from beginning to the end. John Candy, the director needed to tone him down or pull him back or put a leash. Like, hey, he's up, man. Or it was really poorly written by Ken Levine and David Isaacs. He's just obnoxious and big and like, oh my god. Even when earlier in the film when they're on a helicopter, he's just yelling. He's like, hey, you guys hear this? Hey, are we getting near? Huh? This is cool. What the fuck, man? Rita Wilson was there. Tim Thomerson. I like Tim Thomerson, but his character wasn't much. Nice to see Getty Watanabe. There's not really many lines of dialogue I laughed at. Can't really think of any. I got like 2 smirks, which I mentioned throughout the video. Seems like the movie goes nowhere. An hour and 47 minutes. It felt too long. Easily 15 minutes could have been cut out. Sad to say, you could have just cut out the entire John Candy character. Because he doesn't really add anything. He appears 18 minutes in. Once in a while he pops up. Gets captured. Then he's not even part of the rescue. He's just trapped he's just walking back and forth on a bridge. He wires the bridge. It doesn't work. Tom Hanks has to go up and do it anyway. So what was John Candy there for? And it's not like he's in wall-to-wall of this movie, but his character was entertaining and funny and did help on the rescue of the mermaid with Tom Hanks and Eugene Levy. This character should not... His character was pointless in the film. Tom Hanks was an asshole character. And it was a boring movie, unexciting. And yeah, I didn't care for it at all. So volunteers... I'll volunteer myself in the psych ward after watching this film. I volunteer to never watch this film ever again. Unless one day I do a Tom Hanks marathon, which is nowhere in the years to come, no. But, and I like Tom Hanks, but it's just, there are 100 other things to do. But yeah, I volunteer never to watch this film again. It's a completely pointless, worthless movie to me. And a waste of talent. Waste of Tom Hanks' talent. Waste of John Candy's talent. And thankfully, the next year, or not the same year, you would get Brewster's Millions, which I enjoy much more. And next up, my favorite John Candy film, Summer Rental. That's using John Candy well. This is not. If you want to see him loud and obnoxious and feels like barely in the movie and really has no purpose in the film, at least to the plot, I should say, to the film, which is what I meant to say, that he has no purpose with the plot of the movie. No, I'll see Summer Rental where he is the star of the film's on his shoulders, and he carries it well. and he's much funnier in that than in this. So, thanks for watching. I know some people like the film, that's fine. Not for me. Later.